Hey, this is Angelique Millette, a pediatric sleep consultant and parent educator, and I'm going to talk about the transition from the crib to a toddler bed or a child's bed. So typically that transition happens between the time your child is aged maybe 2 to 3. Impulse control develops around the time your child is 2.5. Some children are already developing it before 2.5, but for most it happens after 2.5 to age 3 and then on. And you'll know that they're starting to develop impulse control because they'll be able to respond to rewards and consequences, and you'll just start to see that there's some delay in gratification, that they'll be able to sort of delay their needs for a sort of a result or a reward. So if you have to make the transition out of the crib earlier than say 2.5, 3, and that can happen because you have a toddler who's climbing out of the crib, which could happen between the 18 to 22-month developmental milestone. It's a particularly big time for language acquisition. They're getting up to 10 new words per day, and as that's happening, they just become more clingy. They may want to climb out of the crib. So if you're finding that you're kind of having to make this transition out of the crib sooner than you would like to, you have a few options. The first option is simply using the conversion crib. And a conversion crib is when you remove one side of the crib. Usually there's a piece that, as you remove the side of the crib, you replace it with it's like a half, it almost looks like a half crib side. It's almost like a little gate, but there's a little hole to it. And that's a conversion crib, and that would permit your child to be able to get out of the toddler bed if they needed to at night, which once they start to do some potty learning, they're going to need to do that. If you have to use the conversion style crib, if that's the setup arrangement that you have, basically what you do is from one night to the next, you just remove the side, you put on the conversion side, and then you basically start bedtime routine as you normally would. Now for most toddlers, they are actually going to stay in bed, which sounds surprising, but for some reason they find that the side rail is a limit and they'll stay there. But for some toddlers, they just won't. They just don't have the impulse control. They're just really excited by that freedom and that space, and they will get out of their beds at night, and you'll find them wandering the hallways. You might find them in your room or in your bed. And for those parents that want to help their children to sleep in their beds for the whole night, you can use a method like the chair mattress method to help them stay in their beds for the whole night. I won't be able to go into too many details about that method, but I do have that method on my website under the webinar, the archived webinars. If you look under the topic toddler sleep regressions, I discuss the chair mattress method and how to use it specifically for a child who's getting out of their bed at night. If you don't use the conversion crib, the other option that you have is to set up a mattress in your child's room. And I like the mattress option because you can sit on the mattress with your child, and maybe the week before you actually move them out of the crib, you can do the bedtime routine on the mattress, do some snuggles there in the evening. But after you finish the bedtime routine, put them down in their crib at night, so they're still sleeping in their crib. Do that for about a week. So they're starting to get used to getting their needs met and having some snuggle time with you on their bed. They're not quite sleeping there yet, but then after about a week of having that snuggle and that bonding routine at bedtime, then get rid of the crib and then just have them sleep exclusively in their new bed. And again, the same rule applies there with the new bed. Some toddlers will just stay on their new mattress. They won't really get out of bed. Others won't be able to. They just get very excited by the new space. They get out of bed at night. You can think about putting up a baby gate, but I would recommend that you take a look at the toddler sleep regression webinar on my website to learn more about this chair mattress method. It's a great method if you do have a little one who's getting out of bed at night. Thanks so much. That wraps up this quick tips video.